because it is nobody's fault when somebody oversteps your boundaries. It is nobody's fault. And we want to thank Carolyn Logan very much, because just because it can happen in the streets doesn't mean it can't happen at work. It happens to all of us all the time, and everyone, I'm sure, can relate to what Carolyn Logan was talking about. Thank you. And now we have Pam Hudson, a Charlotte attorney and a feminist, and the board chair of Lillian's List. They help women get elected.
Thank you. Thank you for that introduction. Good morning, everyone. My name is Pam Hudson, and I'm privileged to serve as the board chair for Lillian's List. What a wonderful sight to see. This sea of women's faces and voices. And we are so grateful for the men who are joining us today. I see you, Ken Rayner. I see you, Eric Linney. I see you, Joey Hewell. We need men to embrace our cause to effect real change. And thank you to the women who organized this march. It takes a lot of time, energy, and passion to create an event like this. And as our founder, as our namesake, Lillian Exum Clement, the first woman legislator in North Carolina in the 1920s, was known to say, sometimes you just have to start a thing. And you all have certainly started something here in Charlotte. At Lillian's List, we have a simple mission to recruit, train, support women who are champions of reproductive freedom and equity for women to run for state office in North Carolina. At this time last year, we were reeling from the nationwide election. But we were fortunate to be able to celebrate the election of Lillian's List featured candidate Mary Belk right here in Mecklenburg County. After marching arm in arm with you last year, we at Lillian's List committed ourselves to working hard in 2017 to prepare ourselves to elect even more women in 2018. We believe in order to change the laws in this state, we have to change the lawmakers. Yes! Women are 54% of the electorate, but hold only 25% of elected positions at the state level. That needs to change. We need to change the face of power in Raleigh. Yes, when political leaders refuse to take sexual assault seriously, we need to change the face of power. When our voting rights are under attack, we need to change the face of power. When a woman's access to reproductive health care is in jeopardy, yes, and even contraceptive care, because men are in control of the legislative process, we need to change the face of power. Yes. So in 2017, women said, enough! They looked for ways to be part of the change we need in North Carolina and our country. In the first 6 months alone of last year, 195 women came to Lillian's List, raising their hands to run for office. Since the launch of our candidate training programs began in 2012 until the end of 2016, we trained an impressive 376 potential candidates. But in 2017 alone, we more than doubled that number. We trained an additional 400 potential candidates on the basics of campaigning, and several of our successful candidates here in our local election last fall are Lillian's List trainees. So talk to them about our trainings. Yes. In November, we trained 60 men and women at our one-of-a-kind Jamie Kirk Hahn Academy for Campaign Managers. Yes! A successful candidate has to have a well-trained campaign manager. So look into that if you're thinking about being a campaign manager. And you know what we've learned in our 20-year history? When women run, they win. They win, yes! They win at the same voted as men, and they changed the debate in North Carolina and in Washington. Women are great fundraisers, strong advocates, and we are incredible organizers, as you can see, and multitaskers, right? In addition to responding to the training needs we've got, Lillian's List has been managing through the complex and changing landscape of redistricting. We have identified districts that we believe are winnable and have recruited heavily in those locations. There's now a wave of women across the state and this country announcing their candidacies, and we at Lillian's List could not be more pleased. Yes. So, how can you be part of changing the face of power? First of all, bring your power to the polls. Lillian's List, yes! Lillian's List will be announcing its featured candidates within the next month. Find a candidate in your community who needs your support. Volunteer for her campaign. Lillian's List will be hosting a half-day volunteer training in February, so check that out on our website. So make phone calls, knock on doors, amplify your candidate's message via social media, and provide that much-needed financial support. Through Lillian's List, be part of our collective giving campaign and support all of our candidates statewide via the Lillian's List website. And most importantly, help get out the vote. As we know only too well, we can have the most qualified candidates in the world. But if we don't get people into the voting booth to vote for them, we cannot succeed. Thank you from Lillian's List, and come join us to change the face of power.
Thank you. Yes. So now we have the president of the League of Women Voters, and that is a game-changing organization. I would like to also talk about some other game changers here in Charlotte. Robbie Akiri is a game changer here in Charlotte. Cass Otley is a game changer here in Charlotte. Adam Watson, who actually organized the march last year, is a game changer here in Charlotte. So let's also recognize, know those people. If you know those people, get with those people, find those people, because it's time for us to make some changes. Dolores Johnson Hurt.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. It's so good to see you on this beautifully sunny day, and the weather has certainly worked itself out for us, hasn't it? So, women's rights are human rights. Gender justice is racial justice, is economic justice. Civil rights are our birthright. Your liberation is my liberation. Those words are from last year's Women's March on Washington. And I believe the strength of those words is on display today as we celebrate the 1-year anniversary of the Charlotte Women's March. As we celebrate the diversity of women on this stage, and the thousands of you who are here today to say, we're still here and we're not going away. For those of you who don't know about the League of Women Voters, we are a nonpartisan, grassroots political organization that's been around for almost 100 years. The founders of the League of Women Voters and their predecessors led a 70-year fight for the right of women to vote in this country. After protesting, marching in blizzard conditions in front of the White House, going on hunger strikes, and lobbying legislators, women in the United States were finally able to vote in 1920. I wanted you to know about the League of Women Voters because our organization is not new to the struggle of fighting for voting rights and equal rights and civil rights and women's rights and a representative government for all. We were and are the original warriors for women's rights in this country, and I'm glad to represent here today. In my opinion, there have been three great movements led by women in the last 100 years in the United States. The fight for women to vote, the feminist movement of the 60s, and now, though still in its infancy, the Women's March to reclaim our country. Today, we march to reclaim a democratic nation being destroyed at its core by Donald Trump and his followers. Tactics of divide and conquer by race, religion, gender, and socioeconomic status are now how the United States is known around the world. In the past several years, we've lost voting rights through gerrymandering and voter suppression. There have been attacks on freedom of speech and freedom of the press. We've lost transparency and accountability. There's been a rise in the visibility of white supremacy, starting with the President of these United States. But we must remain true to the values and vision and principles put forth in our Constitution and what had made America great. So what do? We must vote. We must educate. We must promote and support candidates who share our belief system. We must convince the populace that if they don't vote in the best interest of all Americans, the American dream we wish this country to be will be destroyed. We women are leading the latest, greatest progressive movement for justice in this country, and we must continue to fight to keep anyone from turning us around. Our power is at the polls. Thank you.
Thank you, Dolores Johnson Hurt, President of League of Women Voters. All right, everybody, this is the time I'm going to touch because we as women walk through many different walks of life. We know many different pains and many different struggles, and we must support each other. We must give each other the support and care that we need as we go through day-to-day life because the struggles are hard. That's why we're here today. And so for this, I want to introduce Ms. Hamid. She's the president of the Muslim Women of the Carolinas. Yes.
Thank you very much. This is so amazing. I wish you could see what I could see. This is just fabulous. I'd like to, I'm probably going to say something that might just get me booed off the stage. I think that women should stop asking for equality with men, because what that means is that we started at the same place and we did not. It means that people think that it assumes that we might have started with an even playing field, and it wasn't. We should not be asking for equality, we should be asking for equity. When we say equity, we are acknowledging that people come to the table with different life experiences. People are coming to the table with systems that have been in place that have caused them to be at a disadvantage. And this is not just for women, this is for all people who have been marginalized. Looking for equity means acknowledging that there is a gap and working towards minimizing that gap. Eventually dismantling the systems that keep people disadvantaged. Working for equity means that we are looking to create a level playing field that allows people to come and with whatever it is that they have, whatever talents they have, whatever determination they have, they will advance not because somebody has given them an advantage. Working towards equity means that we recognize that people are different. Yes, women are different than men. God created us different. We have different body parts. We have a different way of thinking. We're wired differently. We think differently, and we look at the world through different prisms. But this difference is a good thing. When we come to the table with these differences, we are adding to the table. We need to appreciate those differences in ourselves and recognize that yes, we are different, and sit in that and live with that and say yes, we can contribute as well. We should not be threatened by our differences or anybody else's differences. But what ends up happening is we end up looking at other people, whatever that other people is, and we say that they are the problem. Those people who are different, those people who have different skin color, those people who have a different religion, those people who have a different political party. We look at those people and we say they are the problem. We can't work with them because they can't possibly have a decent idea because we have all the good ideas. And that's a problem that we have. And that's why our government is shut down, is because we're not willing to look at or to talk to people from the other side, whatever that other side might be. Our labeling of people as the enemy is one of the biggest problems that we have. We need to take the opportunity to reach out to people who are different and create relationship. We need to talk to people who are different than us, however different that might be. Not just talk to people, but listen to people. Listen to what other people have to say. Thanks for the cheering, Kyle. That's wonderful. So as we listen to what other people have to say, they become humanized. We recognize that the differences that God has made in us are things that we should value. So I challenge you to reach out to somebody who is different. Take an opportunity, look for opportunities to create some type of a friendship with somebody who is different. As a Muslim woman, people think of me as different. I wear a hijab, which is a cover that people generically use to refer to the scarf that Muslim women wear. People think sometimes when they see a woman wearing hijab that she's oppressed or that she's backwards, and that's just not true. We invite you to come to learn about some women, Muslim women in Charlotte, in the Charlotte area. As a Muslim women of the Carolinas, we invite you to an event that we're having next week called Hijab Fest. And it's an opportunity for people to come to learn to meet a Muslim, to learn about why we cover, where we are. Just ask whatever questions that you want. Also, you can pick up a free hijab because the following week on February 1st is World Hijab Day, which is an opportunity for people, Muslim and non-Muslim women, to wear hijab in solidarity with women who are afraid to wear hijab because of the political climate that has been created. So we ask you to come by, well maybe not all of you, but at least some of you, come by next week from 2 to 4 at 4301 Shamrock Drive. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So now I'm going to introduce Melba Smith Evans, an educator, political activist, and she has a social justice blog. So now Thank you very much. But before, I'd like to thank everyone who has done advocacy work and raised awareness. And if you've done any educating, advocating, or raising awareness, please give yourselves a hand right now, and please continue to do your work. That's why we're here.
Thank you. And greetings from the National Organization for Women. We are very active in Charlotte, and we hope you will seek us out. You know, and growing up, I was always taught to try to avoid conflict for the sake of harmony. But that time, it's getting so that it's coming to an end, because policies have now become a matter of life and death for some people. ICE raids, families being ripped apart, an attack on public education and health care. Women fear losing control of our own bodies. Seniors are in fear of losing their only means of support, Social Security. We can no longer agree to just disagree. Martin Luther King said, our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. These things matter. Betty Ford walked out of the Republican convention to join the feminists protesting in the streets for the ERA, and she said, being ladylike does not mean being silent. We cannot be silent. Now is the time to be loud. Step up, speak up, and it doesn't matter where you are or who you're with, and if they are offended, tell them they need to look in the mirror. When someone says feminist, they want to stereotype white, privileged, heterosexual females. But that is not true. Feminists are men, LGBT, all races, all walks of life. My Baptist minister father was a feminist. My school teacher mother was a feminist. My son, my husband, my LGBT friends are feminists because they fight for equality. Feminism is inclusive and intersectional. We have come a long way, but there's a lot of people who want to take us back. Angela Davis said, we live in a society of imposed forgetfulness and a society that thinks we have public amnesia. Do we have amnesia? No! Have we forgotten? No! Will we go back? No! We will not go back, but we will fight back. Follow together, not one step back. We will not be defined by our setbacks. We will be defined by our courage, defined by our determination to get our fundamental rights. Access to abortion care, equal pay, racial justice, LGBT rights, and end to sexual violence, women's rights are human rights, and we won't stop till our government recognizes them in full. We must pass this GRA. We must reform our justice system.
Aquí nos encontramos también con un grupo de hispanas que están apoyando esta marcha. El día de hoy,
acá mira el grupo de hispanas apoyando. Mira la de la coalición.
How are you? Aquí nos encontramos con Marvis Love, siempre apoyando esta marcha.
Sí, estamos apoyando a las mujeres, exigiendo los derechos de las mujeres, y por eso estamos aquí hoy representando a la comunidad de mujeres latinas.
¿Usted de dónde es, amiga? ¿Apoyando la marcha también?
Sí, apoyando la marcha.
Qué bueno. ¿Pertenece a alguna institución?
No, señora.
Una persona, una madre.
Estoy aquí, exacto. Profesional, madre, amiga, hermana.
Vamos a conversar con Giselle de la Coalición Latinoamericana. ¿Cómo está, Giselle? Buenos días. Qué gusto verte aquí, como siempre, apoyando estos eventos. Y en especial este evento que es de las mujeres, la marcha de las mujeres.
Evento de las mujeres.
Sobre esto? ¿Cómo lo ves?
Bueno, maravilloso. Es genial que la Coalición Latinoamericana tuvo
hubo un espacio y yo fui una de las speakers de las que di un discurso y tuve la oportunidad de hablar un poco aquí de qué está pasando en la comunidad, que queremos que se apoye en Charlotte, es decir, que la gente entienda un poco y escuche el mensaje de la comunidad hispana latina.
Tu mensaje para las mujeres en especial.
Mi mensaje para las mujeres en especial es, todas somos mujeres hermosas, inteligentes, no permitas que nadie te diga que tú eres menos.
Así es. Y yo siempre acoto lo siguiente, no permitas que nada ni nadie arruine tu vida.
Así mismo es.
Gracias.
Mira, Jess, ¿te acuerdas de Jess?
Representantes, claro que sí, representantes de instituciones. Aquí vemos a doña Jessie Jess. How are you? Una ex directora de la coalición latinoamericana que estuvo muchos años allí. Vamos a conversar un ratito con Jessie Jess el día de hoy que está aquí presente. Would you say something about this?
It's a great event to see all these people out, see La Coalición Latinoamericana, see We League of Women Voters, all these organizations coming together to celebrate diversity and to celebrate equal rights, to fight for immigration reform, to fight for equal justice for all people, to fight for workers, to fight for women. What a wonderful event. I'm so excited to see my former organization, Latin American Coalition, here and part of all of this. So thank you. Bye.
You worked a long time. Thank you so much, Jess. Fueron las expresiones de Jessie Jess, ex directora de la Coalición Latinoamericana aquí en la ciudad de Charlotte, dando sus opiniones sobre este evento el día de hoy aquí en el First Square Park de la ciudad de Charlotte.
I haven't seen you forever. How are you? Good, good, good. I see pictures of your kids on Facebook and how are you doing? Are you still good? Yeah. Oh, that's cool. We can see you.
A national call for moral revival with civil disobedience and the impact that us women have on this new movement. Now I must say,
miren este lindo cartel que el día de hoy está exhibiendo aquí la señora. Mi nombre es Democracia. Vengan y voten, dice ella. Take a picture. Hey, yeah. I'm taking it.
Anybody remember that?
Thank you. Muchos carteles alusivos a la marcha que el día de hoy se está realizando aquí, la marcha de las mujeres, pero no solamente mujeres son bienvenidas, porque hay muchos caballeros el día de hoy en este evento apoyando a sus hermanas, sus amigas, sus esposas que el día de hoy están aquí. Vemos también a niños que han venido el día de hoy a apoyar esta marcha.
A lot of people know that the Republicans campaign and National Government, one of our leaders, and I say one of our leaders, is our own Bishop Dr. William Bob. But there's more good news. Co-conveners. A woman, Reverend Dr. Liz Theo Harris, is the other co-convener. We also talk about the civil disobedience that goes on. December 19th, 18th and 19th, a group of us, the progressive Democrats, we were in Washington, D.C. during that ugly tax scam. A 87-year-old woman was leading the arrest. 87-year-old woman. Now, what I would say is here I am so honored and privileged to be a state coordinating committee tri-chair. We have 3 women, which includes myself, Anna Blackburn, and Joyce Johnson, that are tri-chairs for the state of North Carolina's Poor People's Campaign. Now, the purpose of this Poor People's Campaign is to end poverty, to end sexual and gender discrimination, to end mass incarceration, to end systemic racism, and to come together to create a moral America. Are you with me? We are currently in stage 2 of our campaign. We have 3 stages. Stage 1 was organizing. Stage 2 is educating. And stage 3, the civil disobedience stage, starts the day after Mother's Day. The day after Mother's Day. We will be having a minimum of 34 states throughout this country participating with 1,000, at least 1,000 civil disobedience participants. We will be doing 40 days of civil disobedience. And that is just a kickoff for the mass movement. This is going to be the largest, the most impactful movement that we have ever had. The civil rights movement was huge. This is a human rights issue. Now I have certain actions for call of action for you guys. The first call of action, first step, is to go to poorpeoplescampaign.org. poorpeoplescampaign.org. That way you can stay in tune of what's going on with the Poor People's Campaign. The second is while you're on that website, we're going to ask you to sign pledge cards. The pledge cards, there's roles for everybody. Some people want to do social media. Some people want to do civil disobedience. Some people want to do organizing. The last 2 next steps that I'm going to mention, and then I'm going to close out, is that on February 5th, we are having press conferences in 35 states and the capital, Washington, D.C. We're going to have simultaneous press conferences. On February 10th, we're going to have the annual HKRJ March in Raleigh, North Carolina. With that being said, I want to thank you for fighting for me. I want to thank you for fighting for you. And I want to thank you for fighting for a moral America. I love you.
Yes, we can. Aquí observamos un grupo de hispanas también apoyando el día de hoy la marcha por los derechos de la mujer. Observamos aquí a Wendy Mateo, doña Osiris Collazo, Roxana, la vi por aquí también, apoyando el día de hoy esta marcha por los derechos, por la defensa de las mujeres. Apoyando la marcha, doña Osiris.
Por supuesto, aquí presentes.
Qué bueno. Wendy, ¿cómo estás?
Presente.
Presente también, dice doña
Maribel.
Hola, Maribel.
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Buenos días, gusto verla. No la había visto, tiempo que no la veía.
Sí.
Qué bueno que la veo aquí en esta esta marcha apoyando el día de hoy. Cuidado con las mujeres. Dice el sign de Marcha.
Maybe it's to save money.
¿Cómo están, bellas damas, amigas? ¿Cómo están? Roxana de Asuntos
Sí
Latinos.
se puede.
Sí se puede. ¿Qué dice? Roxana dice sí se puede.
Sí se puede.
Y la otra Roxana, ¿qué dice? También sí se puede. Sí se puede.
Las Rosanas dicen sí se puede. Sí se puede.
Yes,
we can. Yes, we can.
Sí se puede. Yes, we can. Gracias, amigas, por estar aquí. Nada.
But then I realized that's what we do as women, isn't it? We say, who am I to speak? Or we say, who am I to run for public office? Or who am I to lead a protest? Right? And that's the reason that only 5% of the CEOs of the Fortune 500 are women. Or, my sisters in the front row here, the reason there's only 25% of the General Assembly is made up of women, despite the fact that 51% of North Carolina's are women. So that's got to change. So who am I to speak? Well, 10 years ago, I could have never imagined being Mayor Pro Tem of Charlotte City Council. I'll tell you that. I was more focused on what I was going to do post-carpool years. But then my brother John died suddenly. And in the midst of that profound grief, I pledged to myself that I would make the most of every day I had left on this earth. And I prayed to God and I said, what will you do with me? What do you want me to do? And just a few months after that, he answered my prayers in kind of a frightful way. He answered my prayers in the form of a man with a gun who tried to abduct me at gunpoint. I'm here today, so obviously it worked out okay. But that moment in my life changed my life profoundly, and in a good way. That led me to be an activist for criminal justice reform. I didn't have any background in that at all. And that led me to run for office. Now, there are two critical things that helped me win, and experience was not one of them. It was a fundamental belief that there was no good reason it shouldn't be me. And secondly, I reached out, as women do. I reached out to a lot of great men and women who said yes because they shared my vision. And I'm going to take a moment to say that I reached out to some of the parent leaders that I was involved with in public school. And I hope they're here today because now they're school board leaders, school board members. Elise Dashew and Margaret Marshall. We were involved as PTO parents together. So I want to give a shout out to them because I'll tell you what, being a school board member is perhaps the hardest job in this city and perhaps one of the most thankless. So support our public schools. If you want to know what to do and get involved, ask our elected officials on our school board what you can do to help. And I want to ask right now, if you're a teacher or a school board member, please raise your hand. All right. When we walk today, I want you to notice these men and women who are teachers and say, what can I do to help you? So today, as we talk about our own goals, and I want to ask you what you're willing to commit yourself to at whatever level you're comfortable with. Rather than say, who am I to speak? I want you to ask yourself, what do you have fire for? And stoke that fire. Talk about it. Reach out to others and ask for guidance in fueling the flame of passion that will ignite change. Let others know what you're passionate about, and I promise you, you'll find allies. This morning as we march, I want you to do 3 things. First, march with someone that you don't know and ask them, what do you have fire for? Secondly, oh, and listen, by the way. Listen to that. Listen to the passion in their voice and encourage them. Secondly, think about your plan for a coming year and whatever works in your point in life. And the last thing is, commit to something and say, why not me? Most importantly, I want you to be afraid and be uncomfortable with whatever that is. Be vulnerable and be open. Be courageous in the face of uncertainty, for that's when progress will begin to happen. See yourself as the change maker and say, why not me? If we all did that, imagine the difference that we could make. So I ask you all today to ask yourself, why not me? And ask each other, why not you? So thank you very much.
Thank you, Julie Iso. For somebody who doesn't like to speak, that was wonderful, right? That was wonderful. Well, we have another city council person. This is somebody who has fought very hard for LGBTQ rights. Make some noise. That's not noise. Can I hear you? Can I hear you? Yes. Let's speak up. This is the LGBTQ. We are a community of humans. We love and respect each other. Miss Luana Mayfield. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, everybody. I heard some people in the back can't hear us. Can you hear me? I noticed we have people standing all around. Can you see me? Can you see each other? Recognize the beauty of this rainbow right here in Charlotte, North Carolina, Uptown. Give yourselves a round of applause. As some of you know, I do serve you on Charlotte City Council representing District 3, which is Southwest Charlotte. So thank you for believing in me more than 6 years ago when I first ran. I am truly proud and honored to join you today for the continuation of our historic movement to recognize the contributions of women everywhere. Standing here this morning, I can feel the energy coming from this group as I was standing behind my fellow speakers who were up here earlier. I have goosebumps, and I'm still trying to figure out why I was allowed to join you up on the stage. Because this little girl who grew up in South Florida, whose parents passed away when she was young and by 17 was out on my own and mad at the world, we all have challenges. Never thought that there would be a day that I would not only be an elected official, but that I would be able to stand here amongst a group of future leaders as well as current leaders. There is an undeniable power that resonates when huddled masses come together in solidarity for a common goal. Throughout history, we have seen it over and over again, from the fight over women's suffrage and those who secured the 19th Amendment allowing women to vote. Mind you, they had to allow us, but we're not going to go there yet. To the lasting struggle of the civil rights for Americans of all ethnicities and the fight for the LGBT community for equal rights. We have witnessed what dedicated groups can do when we are motivated. We've seen their successes and we have learned from them. This is why we are out here this morning, to make our own mark on society by providing our value and demonstrating our own strength. A woman's place was once considered in the kitchen. That's where they thought we were most valuable. But then something happened. Women began proving their worth in the world of industry.
Unfortunately, we have World War II to thank for that. Thousands of women in the spirit of Rosie the River to push out into our factories and shipyards, and we and they made a difference. It opened the door for women to creep slowly into the business sector with roles of leadership in which we excel. So we made the jump from the kitchen to the boardroom. It is no longer enough to have a seat at the table. Now it is time for us to be leading the meetings. Now there is another mountain for us to climb. We must advance our movement to the next logical step. We need more women in elected office. I will say that again. We need more women in elected office. It is time for that progressive thought and the diverse representation in all areas of our government. It is the only way we will ever truly make the right decisions for every person. The tide is pushing in our favor, everybody. Last November, the wave of political change swept across our country, with dozens of new women winning their political races. There are only 22 women in the Senate and 84 in the House. That's 23.5% women at state legislatures, of which some of our women are right here with us today. Mary Belt, Becky Carney, Beverly Earl, thank you for everything that you have done for us. Yet we make up more than half of the population, people. Thanks to the 2017 elections, 202 municipal officials, including our very own mayor, Vi Lyles, was elected to office. I am encouraged to see the increase of the number of women of color winning mayoral elections all over the South. New Orleans, Atlanta, Charlottesville, Virginia, Shreveport, Louisiana have all elected black women to lead. Encouraged to learn that 80 women are in the process of running for governor in their state later this year. And we are seeing record numbers of women inspired to seek political office. 26,000 women have signed up for Emily's List since 2016, looking for information and advice on how to run. You heard me right, 26,000 women, myself included, have been contacted by Emily's List. The theme of this year's rally is power to the polls. We see the power right here. This is what power looks like, but it means nothing if we don't follow it up with action. I'm calling on all of you today to get out. Vote for candidates that best represent your progressive views. You don't need to wait for the elections to start making a difference. Get out now. Register to vote. Help us to convince women all over America to register. Volunteer on a campaign. Host a fundraiser. Talk to your family and friends. This rally today is a start of the National Voter Registration and Mobilization Campaign. Let's get every woman in America registered to vote, and then we can put our power on display. I am excited. I am honored. Power to the polls.
Necesitamos que más mujeres se registren a votar. Fueron las expresiones de la concejala Mayfield.
So now I have the pleasure to bring to you a state representative, my state representative. This woman has organized with me when we came together to discuss some of the issues of domestic violence that are plaguing communities that are not being represented. This woman has organized for health care. She is a nurse, and she has taken that trade and that job very seriously. I am so proud to introduce to you, and I'm so proud that she's here, Representative of District 106, Carla Cunningham.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here to support women, their issues, and their families. Now let's talk. I got a few things I'm going to tell you, and my words are not going to be soft. For too long, we have been carrying everybody's issues on our backs. Far too long. Far too long. Today, dust off your backs. It's time to carry ourselves and our issues. Issues such as equal pay and the Equal Rights Amendment. We want gender equality. We want gender justice. For too long, other individuals have tried to define who we are and attempted to determine our destinies. Not today. It is a new day in North Carolina. Let us charter our own course. We must start today. We cannot wait, and permission is not needed. Now we've been distracted. We've been distracted by the headlines on the national stage. Today, we have to keep our eyes on the prize. The prize is the North Carolina State House. I see my colleagues out there. We do a hard job every day up in Raleigh, and we need you with us.
I do that. I do.
Yes, it might seem bleak. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. We must not allow gerrymandering in North Carolina to box us in. It's time for a breakout, and I know we can do it. When you leave here today, I want you to not speak the word resistance again. I want you to know you're resilient. Yes. Yes. I want you to think resilient. Yes. This is 2018, the Me Too year. Your time's up year. But I say it's the year of resilience in North Carolina. Now here's your marching orders when you leave here today. Find your precinct. Become engaged in your precinct activities. When you vote, take one more vote with you. It takes 2 votes in every precinct to win. Now look around at yourselves. Look at yourselves. You're a beautiful crowd out here. But just imagine if you took 1 vote with you. Oh, what a victory, what a victory. Oh, what a sweet victory. Now repeat after me, because it's time for me to go. Repeat after me. United we rise. 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 Thank you.
Y el turno ahora es para nuestra alcaldesa Díaz. En el día de hoy va a ser el uso de la palabra en este evento.
Carla Cunningham. Thank you, Carla.
Now, the moment most of you have been waiting for.
El momento más esperado por todos, como está
The Alexander Lounge. Her public service in Charlotte City government 30 years ago. She has worn many hats, including city budget analyst, budget director, and assistant city manager. She served 2 terms on city council and was mayor pro tem. She also led and presented the community safety plan, helped develop city's affordable housing plan, and Mecklenburg County's minority and women's business enterprise program for small business. Let us welcome her to the stage, Mayor Loud.
It's still morning. It's still morning. But you know, as they say, it may be morning, but night will be coming soon. And when that time comes that we all lay our heads down, let's just know we made a difference today. I'm Vi Lyles, and I am so proud to stand here and take part in this march. Last year I did it as Mayor Pro Tem. This year, because of you, and you, and you, and us. She's fighting so hard. She's a little bit hoarse on this video. Is it a video or tape? Tape. But I'd like to take a moment and hear from Representative Alma Adams. Thank you very much.
On the one-year anniversary of the Women's March. However, as you know by now, the government has been shut down. That means millions of people, including many of you gathered here today, will be negatively impacted. For that reason, I must stay in Washington to lend my voice to getting our government back up and running. Last year, thousands of us took to the streets to protest the injustices women face and to tell the world, I am woman and I resist. 1 year later, it's more important than ever that we stand up, speak up, and cut up if necessary to fight for our rights. Throughout the morning, you've heard from exceptional women from all facets of our community. They've spoken passionately about the need for equal pay, for equal work, access to comprehensive health care, and the record number of women who are stepping up to run for office and lead our community. We've come a long way since the days when Susan B. Anthony and Sojourner Truth fought for our right to vote. But we're still fighting to crack that glass ceiling. Today I say it like Fannie Lou Hamer said it. I'm sick and tired of being, and your story much like mine. I grew up inspired by a sisterhood of support, by women in my family, my church and community, always taking the lead and showing me what it meant to be strong and independent. Throughout my 40 years in the classroom and 32 years in government, I've strived to pass that same determination and independence into women around me. It's important for each of us today to be thy sisters' keepers. Sisters, together we are a force. We're mothers and daughters and friends and neighbors. We're leaders and representatives and CEOs. And so if we set our mind to doing something, nothing. But if you want something done, ask a woman. Truer words have never been spoken. Women, today as you march through the streets of Charlotte and cities across the nation, remember we are doers and we get things done. To take action and protect our rights. As you march to shoulder today, remember our work does not end here. We must take the spirit of this march with us through every day of 2018. Whether you're angry, inspired, or a combination of the two, it's time to put those feelings into action. So volunteer for a local cause. Call and email and write and tweet your representatives. And if you don't hear from them, don't stop, because they need to hear from you. And run for office, and by all means vote. You know, I often say if good people don't vote for good people, then bad people get elected and they do bad things to hurt good people. So you can't change policy until you elect good policy makers. In Washington and here at home, women and a few good men are fighting hard. for paid family leave, for equal pay and access to comprehensive health care, resources, and support for women entrepreneurs, and more. But we need more strong female voices to make our case. Lillian Exum once said, you just have to start a thing. Well, we've started a movement, and there ain't no stopping us now. My sisters, tomorrow will be up to us. And it's important that than ever before for women to be engaged, empowered, and involved. And in the final analysis, my sisters, is all about power. And power is what makes the difference in lives and communities. And the first thing you have to understand about power and how to get it is that you don't ask somebody how to get it or where it is or can you have it. You take it. And once you've taken it, my sisters, you use it. So march on, ladies. It's 2018, and this is our year, and I approve this message. So let's march and let's turn this mother out.
Thank you, Congresswoman Adams, who could not be here with us today. There is a lost boy. His name is Ty Zanton, and his mother is Jolena. If you guys can try to reunite over here on the stage. His name is Ty Zanton. And now I turn it over to our mayor.
Thank you. You know, Congresswoman Adams has really said so much today. But the word that she said, the most important to me, is remember, it's 2018, and it's time to get ready to vote. So I want to talk to you a little bit about the 7 weeks of being a mayor of your city. And the first thing that I want to say, it is clear to me that my success to stand before you today is because you stood with me and for me. And I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. And